Hello there, welcome back to my channel. It's James here. I hope you're doing okay. Today we are going to talk about some propagation things that I've got going on at the moment over winter, which is definitely one of the harder times to propagate things. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting just to show you that it is possible, if stressful, to have things growing from cuttings over winter. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get straight into it. Before I get started actually, generally when I'm propagating things, unless there are already roots on the node, so I'm talking about aroids here, I actually only have aroids here. So this is basically an aroid propagation video. I have a lot of Hoya propagating at the moment, but there are just too many of them to move, so I couldn't be bothered, so I just left them there. So this is an aroid propagation video. Yay! With aroids, I generally, if there are roots already visible, I'll put them in sphagnum. If there's nothing visible at all, I'll put them in water. Just because I find that things are a little bit slower to root from nothing in sphagnum than in water, so that's what I do. And I find it a little bit less terrifying to heat water than sphagnum. So if I have a heat mat, I'd rather put a container of water on top of that than sphagnum, which would dry up much more quickly. So I don't know if that makes sense. I don't use a heat mat a huge amount. For a couple of these plants, I use it to sort of boost them and get them started, but generally I don't use them too much, even in the winter. So we're going to get straight into it with some of the slightly bigger plants, and then I'll kind of just go through in no particular order and talk about what's happening, because these are exciting and a little bit stressful, but exciting as well. So let's get started with the first one. This is a plant I got maybe August, September of last year, I can't remember. I definitely did a video about it just after I got it. It's a cutting of a Philodendron domesticum with some beautiful creamy variegation. It's literally like such a stunning plant. Yeah, it's beautiful. And the contrast is just so exciting as well. Anyway, I got this as an sort of unrooted cutting. It had a couple of little roots sticking out of the node. And then I left it here, didn't disturb it, which is very unusual for me. It maybe poked around a couple of times. And within the last week, it has got a new leaf appearing, just the tiniest little thing with some lovely variegation. It's hard to see that, but it's almost half-half, except for the very tip of the leaf. And already a second one poking through there. Can you see that? This is the wonderful thing about spring. Things that have been hibernating and dormant for months and months and months are just suddenly like, oh, it's a little bit lighter, it's a little bit warmer, let's go. So that's wonderful. This is domestic and variegated with a lovely little bit. This went straight into sphagnum. I just keep it generally moist in my greenhouse, and it does its thing. Hardy little plant. Great thing about aroids, I think they're probably some of the easiest plants to propagate. So yay. Right, moving straight on. This is quite a large plant to consider propagation, but it kind of is. There are a few of my plants that are in a similar situation, but I just thought I'd show you this one because it's the same for all of them. Even established plants, when they get root rots, just have to start from scratch basically, because you essentially have bare nodes, and sometimes it's even harder because you have nothing trying to support an entire plant. So I've often had to cut things back just to make it a little bit easier. This plant I got from Plants and Pates not too long ago. It is a paraiso verde, or a Marina rebarbosa, I think. And it had a couple of leaves when it arrived. Look at that beauty. Oh, it has very little of the speckling that you'd sort of expect from a Marina rebarbosa. But this new leaf, hopefully, there'll be a little bit more of that. Doesn't matter really, it's still super impressive, still massive. It looks like a horse's head. Anyway, so this arrived. It had sort of okay roots initially, and then they all kind of rotted, so it went straight back into sphagnum as a propagation thing, and it is really, really taking off. I think this is probably one of the hardier, more sort of enthusiastic growers. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, it is definitely, as soon as it got into the right environment, those roots just started shooting out, and it is definitely a success story for a larger plant propagating. Yeah, super happy with it. Can't wait for the new leaves to come out with spring. Oh, look at it, it's just amazing. I definitely don't take this one out a lot. Okay, those are relatively established. One more almost established plant. This is one of my gloriosums. So this came from a big old gloriosum plant. And I decided to cut it a couple of months ago, probably stupidly, in less than a couple of months. Yeah, maybe a month and a half or so. Probably a couple of months at this point. Cut it midwinter, and it struggled a little bit. One of the other cuttings, not the happiest. It was just the wrong time of year, but this one is okay. So it's kind of shifted because I lifted it up messily earlier. But what I've done here is I've just taken some sort of basic sphagnum potting medium, stuck it in a Ziploc bag, and I have the cutting in there. It already had a few roots, so this was just sort of a way of encouraging those roots to grow a little bit more, and it's definitely worked. I took it out a few days ago, and there are some fluffy white things happening. So this is quite a nice technique. If you have quite a large plant that you can't fit entirely inside a Ziploc bag, I would just wrap the nodes or the roots up in the bag with some potting medium, some moist stuff, and let it do its thing. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to worry about the medium drying out at all. So with my melanochrysum, which I showed in a couple of other videos, ago, because it's in a Ziploc, I'm able to have it over-radiated with no worries about the medium drying out, and it just gives it that little boost to grow a bit faster. So yeah, I definitely think Ziplocs are a good way to go. Or any other similar things. Yeah, so these are my sort of 3 more established plants, and now we're going to go on to the cuttings. This is going to be a bit chaotic because it's a mess. I'm looking at it, it's just like, I always start with one tiny little thing for one tiny little cutting, and I'm like, oh, I can just put this cutting in there too, and it ends up being like a bouquet of different things, just like this. What is that? That's like everything. Okay, so let's go through this first one. This might be a relatively long video. Settle down, enjoy. This is kind of me just discovering what's happening with each of them as well. So in this glass I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different cuttings going. So this first one is, like I said, I had 0 roots when I started it, so I've just put it in water. All of these plants came from 0 to almost 0 roots when I put them in there. This is a sodiroiXornatum. This leaf was rotting when I took the cutting, and it just fell off. But you can see it's got a beautiful little pink root coming through there. It is quite happy. This is right at the front of my growth cabinet where it gets sort of all of these get bright southern light, quite a lot of direct light during the day, which I think during winter is very helpful for them. And it definitely warms up during the day. So this is why I've been able to do without heat mats, I think, just because the general sort of warmth in that greenhouse is quite high. This one is not doing well at all. I didn't think it would do well because it was an accidental cutting. This is a piece of my Philodendron patriciae that broke off the tip cutting, which I'm really annoyed about. But I decided I'd try and propagate it anyway. So you can kind of see that leaf was coming through, it's sort of rotted, this leaf rotted, nothing really is happening with the root node there, but there is a little bit of growth, sort of a growth point on the other side of the leaf that has definitely gotten substantially bigger since I put it in water. So we'll see. I am not confident about this, but I'm sending it all the growth love, and we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that as spring comes, it's quite fun, the little twirling like that. Anyway, I'm hoping that as spring comes, it does more stuff. And if it doesn't, sorry, an expensive mistake. The rest of the plant is okay there. This is lovely. This was an intentional cutting, and I'm so happy with it. So this is my seudoverrucosum. I think it's a seudoverrucosum. I took the cutting at the top, so tip cutting. The roots have gone mental since I put it in there, but look at that leaf. It is an amazing plant, an amazing, amazing plant. I'm dubious about the pseudoverrucosumness of it. The previous leaves, none of them had any red on the back while they were developing. This one, you can see it's kind of blushing on the back, which I don't think is a pseudoverrucosum trait. So I am again unsure about what this plant is. Regardless, it is ridiculously beautiful and it is doing super well. I could put that in sphagnum right now, it would be fine. But I'll probably keep it in water just for a little bit longer because I'm lazy and busy today. Right, last one in this is another one that could definitely be transplanted, but its roots are kind of growing in an awkward way. So this is a Philodendron gigas or gigas or whatever you want to say. Look at those mental little roots there. Look, it's beautiful. Okay, so this is a top cutting of one of my plants, and yeah, it's super happy. They're just such easy plants to root. I find them faster and easier than melanos, and that is like saying something, because melanochrysums for me roots just like in a heartbeat. Yeah, it's really, really wonderful. Stress-free. You can cut it and stick it in water and it will have roots within like a month. So that's great. I'm going to pop this one up ASAP, I think. And who knows, maybe I'll trade it, sell it, I don't know, maybe I just want another plant. I will see, I haven't decided yet. So, gorgeous little guys. That water needs to be changed, but it's okay. Oh, why are you so awkward with your roots? Anyway, I'm just going to stick them back in there so nothing dries out, and we will swiftly move on. Swiftly, swiftly, swiftly. Perfect. Okay, staying with the water propagation for now. Yeah, so this is the one that I was shaming earlier. This, oh, it looks so sad. This is a Florida Beauty that I've had for probably about 6 months. I'm not sure. Definitely many months, maybe 4 to 6 months. And as you can see, it has done absolutely nothing. Not a root, nothing. The growth points started growing and then it stopped, and it's just been a not dead plant for a long time, but definitely not alive. So I'm kind of hoping that spring will stir it into action. If it doesn't, then tant pis, it is okay. But I really hope it does, because they're still one of my favourite plants that I have. The Florida Beauties are just so nice, and the variegation is so satisfying. Anyway, also in here I have an Esmeraldense node with some ridiculous roots. I don't know why I have it in here. I should probably just put that in sphagnum. I'm going to do that now, I think. So I'll leave that there and I'll transfer it because it's not happy in the water. But yeah, there we go. Also getting bright lights, all the things. It's not doing it. This is a chaotic one. So in here I have... Oh, let's just put it down there so I can take things out one by one and you don't have to see how ridiculously chaotic it is. So this is a mamei, a Philodendron mamei, which is doing very well. So I cut this from a mother plant because it was just like, it was getting a bit messy, and I don't know, I decided that it was time to take something off it. So I did, and it's got some lovely little pink roots poking through there. Those are so cute. It's a very, very fast rooting plant. Again, super stress-free. Nothing else to say about it. Literally, I just cut it, stuck it in water, and it's happy. So, relatively soon, once those are a little bit longer, I think I'll transfer it into sphagnum, and voila, we will have another plant. Perfect. In this same little cup, I have, get off. One of my, oh my god, everything's just getting tangled. One of my Florida Ghost cuttings. Which is, they're quite slow. I think it's just because the leaves are so pale, there's not as much energy available to the roots as a tip cutting. But it's doing its thing, and that leaf is slowly darkening, so hopefully the growth should speed up relatively quickly. Look how pretty that is. I've kind of forgotten about my Florida Ghost, but they are really, really lovely. Yeah, in here I've also got a Hoya sagittalis cutting, which is not the happiest little thing, but it's not dead. So that's a plus. And I also have a Hoya patriciae cutting, which is doing pretty well. It's got some nice little roots there. I've got a lot of this propagating at the moment. This is just one of them. I kind of stuck them in every available propagation unit because there were a lot of them. Okay, this is definitely a little grouping that needs more space in the near future / right now. So I'm just going to leave it there and sort it out in a second so I don't break anything. Last water propagation, we have a saddle Epipremnum Pinnatum variegated cutting. Look at that curling leaf, alas. So this I cut too soon. It was still sort of fresh and growing when I cut it because I was greedy for a leaf below, which is elsewhere rooting. But it meant that it sort of hardened in this slightly curled way. It is growing, there's a root there, but it is taking its sweet time. Can you see? Probably not. Anyway, it is growing very slowly, but it is alive, so that is the main thing. And I'm confident that as it gets warmer, it will grow faster. Not a problem. Yeah, these are the ones that are a little bit stressful when you can watch them like just hanging on for dear life, swinging between life and death. Such dramatic plants. Okay, last 3 that I've got to show you today are all sphagnum propagated. So this one went directly into... No, it didn't. It was in water for a little while, and then I moved it into sphagnum. This is a Milano, one of my little cuttings. This one suffered a little bit. It was the tip cutting initially, but then the tip got battered, and then the leaf rotted, and yeah, you can see where the leaf rotted off there. But it's okay now. It's got some cute little leaves. That sort of typical Milano colouring as it comes through. Beautiful. It could do with a little bit more root space probably, but for now it's okay. I use these a lot, little like glass jar things. They're nice, shallow. I fill them with perlite for my Hoyas quite a lot and just stick them in there and things happen. So that's nice. Milano is happy. Who else have we got? Let's go for the Ziploc quick. In here, I have some Anthurium rooting, and they've buried themselves. They're like little, where are they? Okay, this is, let's get the more impressive one. Not that either of them are particularly impressive. These are some Anthurium corrugatum nodes. Yeah, ooh, there's some nice roots happening there. And you can see, if I get close, there is a little growth point coming through there. This Ziploc bag method works super well for me. I've heard that other people have issues with rotting with this. I've never had issues with that. Very, very minor at the end of nodes, and I've just cut off the rotting tissue and it's been fine. But yeah, it's fine. I find it, normally what I'll do is I'll seal, I think I've shown you this before, but I'll seal up to sort of right towards the very end. And then just to make sure the wet sides aren't touching the cuttings, I'll kind of like blow in like that and then seal it up again. It just gives the cuttings a little bit more space. Ta-da, that's the thing. Perfect. Yeah, they're doing fine. I love corrugatum. I recently sold my larger plant just because it was taking up a little bit too much space. But once those grow, I'll be happy to have a slightly smaller one until I have more space. So this final one is propagation, but also an absolutely amazing find. I am so excited about it. This has been probably, along with Philodendron bicolor, top of my wish list for many months. Half a year, possibly a year. And it's just been impossible to find in the UK. And recently someone auctioned it on a Facebook group and I was just like, and I contacted him and he said that he would be able to maybe trade or sell me another cutting, but I couldn't wait, so I just bid on the cutting that was there. And surprisingly got it. I was kind of expecting everyone to bid on it, but they didn't, I guess because it's unrooted. So this is Philodendron Burle Marx Fantasy. Oh, I cannot believe, every time I look at it, I actually have, this is so sad, but I have this as the background of my phone, just because I am absolutely overwhelmed by how beautiful it is. I really, really hope that it roots. I hope it will, now that spring's around the corner. But the guy who sold it to me recommended that I put it straight into sphagnum, even though it doesn't have any roots. So I decided I'd try that. If it doesn't root within a few weeks, I will transfer it into water, see how it does there, and bring it back. But yeah, I can't believe it. That is amazing. Just one more look. Look at that. I know that these are relatively common in some parts of the world. I think the US has a lot of them, but I have not seen them for sale anywhere in Europe, and I've been trying, and it's been hard to import them from elsewhere as well. So yeah, that is a little bit of my aroid propagation. This was not intentionally an aroid focused video, but I basically just have aroids and Hoya, so it's a 50-50 chance. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. If you have any comments, put them down in the comments below. If you want to see updates on these cuttings as they develop, please go and follow me on my Instagram at slugplants. I post semi-regularly. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I will see you very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!